Hello! We're going to see examples of each exercise. Today the task is to do exercises 11 to 15. So what I did this morning with some of your classmates is that we saw the exercises. So notice the reading the instructions is extremely important to do these kind of exercises. Instructions say fill each of the following gaps with a suitable auxiliary or auxiliary form. Which are the options that we have? We have should, must, ought to, could, can, will, have to, would, and be able, and maybe some others. So number one says, schoolboy to friend. I left my book at home. I share yours. So the option that I chose this morning was can or could. Can meaning more informal and could meaning more formal. But both of them share the same meaning. So these are the correct options. You cannot say, I left my book at home. Must I share yours? Because it's an obligation. So that's not possible. It doesn't make any sense. Number two says, I'm taking swimming lessons. I hope to swim by the end of the month. Notice that these two conditions you to choose be able. You cannot say, I hope to shoot to swim by the end of the month. I hope to can to swim. Can and to do not go together. So I hope to be able to is the only possible option. Here, you'd better take off your wet shoes. What is the correct form here? The correct form is you had better. You'd better. Yes. Normally, when people speak, they don't say you had better. They say, what do they say? They say you'd better. You'd better. Más te vale que, right? That would be the Spanish version. You'd better, like this. So this has to do with number 11. If you have questions, you know you need to write to me in the WhatsApp group. Then we have exercise 12. Exercise 12 has to do with possessive. Because this is a British book, it talks about have got or has God. But we are normally surrounded by American English, so we're going to keep that, the American version. So you're not going to do exercise 12, and we're going to skip exercise 12. Number 13 now. Have. Different uses of the verb have, because have means many things, not only possession. It means to take, for example, have a meal or take a meal, have a lesson, have a bath, etc. It also means to entertain, for example, have guests at home. It means to encounter, for example, have difficulty. It means to enjoy, for example, have a good time, have a long journey, etc. And when they are used in these ways, there are two options. First, we need to do the interrogative and the negative form using do. For example, do you have will be interrogative, and negative will be you don't have. He doesn't have. Okay? But have can also be used in the continuous tenses. When you use have in continuous tenses, normally it means future. Okay? It's present continuous, but it means future. For example, some friends in for dinner tomorrow night. Because it says tomorrow night, then we know that it's future. So we need to use the present continuous form. We are having some friends for dinner tomorrow night. Remember, the exercise is to use the word have in the correct form. So whenever you have future, then you will not use will, you will not use going to, you will use present continuous. We are having. Okay? Then you have you a good journey yesterday. So because it says yesterday, we know that it's past tense. And because it has a question mark, we know that it's a question. So we need to make modifications and say, did you have? And that is similar to a. Have usually forms its question form with do. So the past of do is did. Did you have a good journey yesterday? And number three, don't disturb him. He arrests. I cannot write he has arrest because it means frequently. It means a daily routine, but resting is not a daily routine in this case because the context says don't disturb him now in this moment. So he is having a rest. In this precise moment, we use present continuous then for expressing in this precise moment or a future event. So do exercise 13, then we will go into 14. 14 has a formula, a construction, have plus object plus past participle. Okay? For example, I have my house painted. Here we have the example of have plus the object, my house, plus the past participle form, painted. Okay? So I have my house painted. That is why there is all this mess. Notice that what does it mean? I have my house painted. It means I hired some people to paint my house. It's not that I painted myself. I hired some people to help me to paint my house for me. Okay, that is what the construction means. Another one, number two. My hair looks dreadful, horrible. I think that it said tomorrow. Because it says tomorrow, then it's future. And what did we say about future? We're going to use the continuous form for future. What is the continuous form? I'm having. I am having. You are having. He is having. She is having. This is continuous form. I'm having it set tomorrow then. Okay. Number three, the attic was dark. So last year, this is past. We had a skylight put in. We had plus object a skylight plus past participle put in. Okay, so it's the same construction, the same formula. What does it mean? It means that this person hired some people to put a skylight in the attic. Now the attic is full of light. It's not dark anymore because it has a skylight like this, right? And then exercise 15. No. Exercise 14 has three parts. This is part 1. This is part 2. Fill in the spaces by inserting the correct form of have, the past participle of the verb in brackets, and where necessary a pronoun. For example, your ankle is very swollen. You'd better have it x-rayed. Notice that the formula continues. Have plus the object plus the past participle form. You'd better have it x-rayed. Number 14 says, your room is leaking. You should have plus object plus Past participle, repaired. Okay. Number 3. The trousers are too long. I must ask someone to shorten my trousers. I cannot do it myself. So I must have them, because trousers is always plural, shorten. But we need to put the past participle form. Shortened, like this. I must have them shortened, like this. Okay? Clear? Remember, if you have questions, ask. Part 3, rewrite the sentences using a have plus object plus past participle construction and omitting the words in bold type. So, I employed a plumber to examine my boiler. Instead of the bold ones, employed a plumber, I need to use the construction. I had my boiler examined. I pay a garage to service my car. I had my car serviced.